I want to share an incredible fact that I just saw for the first time this last week that highlighted to me a pivotal point of the spiritual history of the Jewish people. You know, every time we read the Haggadah, we read to our children the harrowing line that perhaps for a number of decades we haven't understood the veracity of it because it's been so good for the Jewish people in general. We tell our children, when we retell the story of the Haggadah to our children, the legacy of Jewish history, we say, Shebechol dor vador omdim aleinu lechalotenu. We tell our children that the event of Pharaoh trying to destroy the Jewish people in Egypt is not an isolated event. Unfortunately, it is built into the religious history of the world and the Jewish people, that in every generation there indeed are those who wish to destroy the Jewish people. An incredible thing I noticed this last week. You know, we know that with the horrific desire to destroy the Jewish people in the time of the Shoah that came to an end in 1945, no sooner had the Jewish people established the state of Israel that very day, and indeed the next day, the attack itself, all the neighboring countries around Israel declared war to annihilate the nascent state. And indeed, for 25 years, until after the Yom Kippur War, of war after war after war, all the neighboring countries trying to destroy the Jewish state. And then in 1979, Egypt makes peace, a peace which has now stood for 45 years, albeit a cold peace, but a peace nonetheless which has saved lots of lives. Jordan followed, the Abraham Accords, and really the last 45 years since that peace deal, the neighboring Sunni Arab countries around Israel are slowly coming to terms with the existence of the Jewish state. And I only noticed that in the very same year, 1979, that Anwar Sadat made peace with Begin, Egypt and Israel, is the very same year of the Iranian Revolution, that the 50-year reign of the Pahlavi family of the Shahs of Iran, which had been pro-Western and fully allied themselves for decades with the West, came tumbling down in 1979. And the very year that Egypt and the Sunni countries began to make peace with Israel is the very time and year that the Persian dynasty of Iran, Shia, fanatical Islam, came to power and for 45 years consistently aims, Rahman Islam, to destroy the Jewish people. Shebechol dor vador omdim aleinu lechalotenu. We saw on October 7th what this means, the ring of terror from Hamas to the Houthis to Hezbollah, or from Iran. Iran, since its inception in 1979 of the revolution, has clearly called for the genocide of Jews in the state of Israel without fail. And the only country in the world that it calls for the destruction of consistently. It is the only country in the world which embraces full Holocaust denial in the way that they do as a country and hosts conferences on it. And it seems that built into its fanatical ideology is the destruction of Israel, giving credence to the fact, Shebechol dor vador, in our generation, this is what we are handling. And the truth is, it goes back to this week's parasha. In this week's parasha, it says that we read about the revelation at Sinai, but the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, Daf Peitet, says the actual name of the mountain is Chorev. Why is it so often called Sinai? Because incredibly the Gemara says, Yarda Sin'a Laolam. Sinai milashon Sinai, because of Sinai of hatred. The moment Torah and goodness and light came into the world, the darkness and destruction thereof came into the world. And therefore, the very moment that the Jewish people want to continue, not only to receive the Torah, but to be impactful in the affirmation of life, we see this opposition to this, Shebechol dor vador. However, the good news is, and I'll end with this, how does that paragraph begin and start? It starts with Vehi she'amda ala avotenu v'lanu. And that promise that God made, that the distinct mission of the Jewish people will prevail, that will stand the test of time, as promised our forefathers and mothers to the end of time. And after we say that in every generation they try to destroy us, it says, V'hakadosh baruch hu matzilan miyadam. Ultimately, Hashem, the forces of God and good, will prevail with the Jewish people, the affirmation of life over the celebration of death, and the belief in hope in a brighter future over a hateful, despairing past. We wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom and hope and pray for the best times ahead for the Jewish people.